Hello, math students. Welcome to another math lesson. For today, I am Miss Taylor, your trusty math teacher. All right, I hope you're all doing well today. Let's see, are we ready for math? So, do we have our fact practice packet? I've got mine. Do we have our textbook? Let's see, this is my textbook. There we go. So I have my textbook. If you do not have your textbook or your fact practice packet, or the next thing is your workbook, I've got my workbook right here. If you don't have these things, please pause the video, just pause it, and then go and get those things. Alrighty, so we mentioned workbook, and then a pencil or whiteboard, and some, paper or whiteboard, and a pencil. And in fact, as Miss Taylor is looking, am I ready for math? I don't have my whiteboard. Here it is. All right, I've got my whiteboard marker, pencil, if you're using pencil and paper. Okay, now I'm ready. Alrighty. So let's see our math lesson. Like usual, we're going to do our fact practice, and then we're going to look in our textbook. We're going to do a little reading. We're going to do some practice problems, and then you have your workbook, and you're going to submit some photos. And you'll be all set to go. Alrighty. So our fact practice for today is page 12. So if we look on the bottom here, we can see that we are working on page 12. And what I've started doing just to kind of help me keep track, I'm writing the date at the top of my fact practice. And then remember, another thing that we can do that really helps us is to time ourselves. So if you have a parent around or a brother or sister, maybe you can ask them to time you, see how quickly I can do my fact practice for today. You can tell them it's only supposed to take me a minute or two. So do that practice, and then share with me, let me know maybe in the comments or something, how long did it take you? So remember, we are working on making these facts really automatic so that right away when we see 12 minus 6, we write 6. When we see 7 minus 6, we write 1. 12 minus 6, we write 7. Okay, so again, just kind of working on getting those facts faster and more automatic. That means we don't really even have to think about it. We see 14 minus 6 and we just right away we put 8. All right, when we're working today on our fact practice, I would like you to keep in mind the whole and the two parts, because that's actually what we're going to be practicing in our class for today, is thinking about the whole and the two parts. So for example, let's take this one. When we're doing 14 minus 6, 14, this is our whole number. So we can imagine if we had our whole number up here and we made a little number bond, and then one of the parts that makes up this whole number is this number 6. And so what we're trying to find is the missing part. So again, we're thinking about which number is the whole number, which number is the part, and which number is the other part. And when we subtract, we're trying to find a part. So I like to think of it as that missing part. Well, 6 and what else make up the whole number? So I've mentioned a few times when I am working on my subtracting facts, I'm thinking about the inverse operation. I'm thinking about adding to help me, because I know two numbers that add up to 14 are going to help me get my answer. So 14 minus 6, I know that is 8, because I know that 6 plus 8 makes 14. And another fact that I like to think about is I know 6 plus 6 is 12, and I know that 14 is 2 more than that. So 6 plus 8. And then when we find our missing part, we're going to kind of cross off our question mark and fill in our answer, and then we can kind of see that makes sense. Okay, so again, this is just fact practice. Miss Taylor's getting a little ahead of ourselves into our lesson for today, but remember, you're going to do your fact practice, and you're going to check on the back page right away to see, was I correct for my facts? If you have any mistakes, go ahead and fix them. It's really good for your brain to fix those right away. All right, so like I mentioned, today we're going to do a little bit of reviewing. So this is, I know you might be thinking reviewing, but Miss Taylor, we have a new unit. You're right, we are in a new unit. We're on unit 2 now. But Unit 2 is kind of taking a step back and thinking about, wait a second, what do we mean when we're doing adding and subtracting? Now, if you're thinking, oh, Miss Taylor, I already know how to add and subtract, good. You should know how to add and subtract. But it's really good for our brains to kind of step back and think about, how do we know that we're going to add? How do we know that we're going to subtract? So here, and I am on page 24, if you'd like to follow along with me, page 24, it says the meanings of addition and subtraction. So here we have a little example. It says Allie has 8 toy cars. David has 6 toy cars. How many toy cars do they have all together? So we can see over here, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is Allie, he has 8 cars. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. David has 6 cars. And so we can think of those as the 2 parts. The cars that Allie has, that's one of the parts. And the cars that David had is the other part. And then when we bring them together, when we want to find out how many all together, we add them to make the whole. So anytime we're trying to find out how much all together or how many all together, that's a big key. It's kind of a big clue word for us, isn't it? How many toys do they have all together? Then we know, oh, I'm going to add my 2 parts to get the whole number. And then we know that 8 plus 6 is 14. Hey, we were just practicing that fact, weren't we? On our fact practice. 8 plus 6, 14. All right. And if we know that 8 plus 6 is 14, then we know a few other facts also. So let's see. If we go to the next page, it tells us Allie and David have 14 toy cars altogether. Allie has 8 toy cars. How many toy cars does David have? Well, we kind of already know how many David has, but if we didn't, we can use subtraction to find out. So here, this little guy, he's telling us to find the whole, we add. To find one part, we subtract. So David has, 14 minus 8 is 6. David has 6 toy cars. So I mentioned that if we know one of these facts, we actually know some other facts as well. So if we know, and maybe you remember what this is called, if we know 8 plus 6 is 14, we actually know a few other math equations. And equations is another word for like a number sentence. So maybe in first grade you might have talked about this as a number sentence, which it is, but it's also an equation. It has an equal sign. So when you have some numbers and they say equals and then something else, that's called an equation. So if we know this equation, 8 plus 6 equals 14, we also know this equation, right? 6 plus 8 equals 14. So we can just switch the order of those two. The two numbers that we're adding, those are called the add-ins. Doesn't matter which order we add those, we're going to get the same answer. And the reason it doesn't matter is kind of a special name for it. It's called the commutative property. Commutative property. So we know 8 plus 6 is 14. We can switch them around and say 6 plus 8 is 14. So those are our 2 addition facts that we know. And then we also know 2 subtraction equations. Because if 8 plus 6 is 14, then we know 14 minus 8 equals 6. We also know that 14 minus 6 equals 8. All right, and the reason we know that is because this is our whole number. When we add 2 parts, we get the whole, right? This is a part plus a part equals a whole. So when we're adding 2 parts to get the whole, or when we're adding 2 parts, we get the whole. Now when we subtract, you'll notice something interesting. When we subtract, we start with the whole number. So again, it's kind of like opposites. When we add, the whole number is our answer. When we subtract, we start with the whole number and we take away one of the parts and we find the missing part or the other part. So when we add, our answer is the whole. When we subtract, we start with the whole And our answer is actually one of the parts. Ooh, do you know what this whole thing is called? It starts with an F. I bet some of you said, did you say this? It's called a fact family. Yeah. So one fact actually has a whole little family to go along with it. Oh, maybe we should give them a little house to live in. A little fact family house. A little door. Come on in. This is our fact family. All right. So that is some information about a fact family. Now, here we have some little ducks. And you can see here, here's one part and here's the other part. And then all together we have our whole. So it looks like they're telling us we have 7 on this side and 5 on this side. Let's see, is that correct? Let's see, 7 plus 5. Yes, so 7 plus 5. We can add those two parts to get the whole number, which would be 12. Nice job. So 7 plus 5 is 12. If we know 7 plus 5 is 12, we also know, just switch them. 5 plus 7 is also 12. So those are our two addition facts that we know. And then we also know two subtraction equations or subtraction facts. We can tell just by knowing these that 12 minus 5 is 7. And 12 minus 7 is 5, right? Because when we're working with fact families, I should mention this before I erase, you'll notice we're using the same 3 numbers. 8, 6, 14, 6, 8, 14, 14, 8, 6, 14, 6, 8. So 1, 2, 3. We're using the same numbers, they're just in a different order. So when we are doing our fact families, we use the same 3 numbers, but they're just in a different order. Let's try another one. All right. So here we have a number bond. So here 12 is our whole number, 9 is one part, and 3 is the other part. So if we have a number bond like this, we can write 4 equations. We can write 2 addition equations. So 9 plus 3 equals 12, and 3 plus 9 equals 12. And then we can write 2 more subtraction equations. So again, all together, we can have 4 facts, and that's called a fact family. Alrighty, let's see about, now we have a little word problem here. It says, Mr. Stone bought 7 chicken burritos and 8 beef burritos. This is making me hungry. I haven't had my lunch yet. How many burritos did he buy? All right, so when we have word problems, we're going to think about, are we trying to find a whole number? Or did they already give us a whole number? Are we trying to find a missing part? All right, so they have given us a little number bond here. So I'm going to draw my number bond. And the interesting thing about number bonds is we always have a whole, and then there's always 2 parts coming out of the whole. But it doesn't really matter how you draw it. Zoom out a little bit. You could draw the whole number on the bottom, like this one. You could draw the whole number on the top. Or you could draw the whole number even on the side. But the important thing is that the 2 parts need to be coming out from the whole. So I couldn't say, oh, here's my whole, and there's a part and there's a part, because they are not coming out of it. So the whole has 2 parts coming out of it. So I could do like this. Okay, so either one of those, or you could do one like they have up here where they have the whole number on the side and the 2 parts like that. Okay, so back to our problem. If Mr. Stone bought 7 chicken burritos and 8 beef burritos, how many burritos did he buy? So he bought 7 chicken and 8 beef. And they want us to figure out how many burritos did he buy. I'm going to add a word here, all together. Or how many burritos did he buy in all? So in other words, whatever flavor they are, how many did he buy? So with this one, we're trying to find the whole number. I'm going to put a question mark here because we know he bought 7 chicken burritos, and I could even label my parts. He bought 7 chicken burritos. He bought 8 beef burritos. And we want to find out how many burritos did he buy in all. So in order to find the whole number, we're going to add. And so we know that 7 plus 8, well, let's see. I know 7 plus 7 is 14. It's one of my doubles facts. So 7 plus 8 is 15. So what we do here to show our thinking is we cross off our question mark and we put our answer there. And I know some of us like to erase and put our answer, but sometimes your teachers like to see your thinking. So I like to see first this was a question mark, and then I cross it off. Now I've got the answer. Okay, so our answer is 15. That's our whole number. Alrighty. So let's try one more because this one's a little different. This one is about Haley. And it says that Haley had 16 stamps. She gave 9 of them away. How many stamps did she have left? So this one, they're not asking us like how many did she have altogether like this one was, because they already told us how many she had and then she gave some away. So if she had some and she gave some away, they are telling us the whole number. So I'm going to use this number bond I have over here to write, I already know that Haley had 16 stamps. And then let's see, she gave 9 of them away. So the question is, how many did she have left? In other words, what's the missing part? And to find a missing part, we're going to subtract. So 16 minus 9, well, we could think about 9 plus what? Equals 16. And I know 10 plus 6 makes 16. So 9, it must be 9 plus 7. I'm going to cross that off and write 7. And let's see if that makes sense. That she had 7 stamps left. That would make sense. If she had 7 stamps left, she gave 9 of them away. And at first, she had 16. All right, so your homework for today is page 31. And it's only one page for today. Let's see, where is it? Here it is. And we're working on fact families and thinking about which number is the whole and which number is the part. So here we have part plus part equals whole. Part plus part equals whole. And then when we subtract, we're starting with the whole number. Whole number minus one of the parts equals the other part. Whole number minus one of the parts equals the other part. All right, so all of these are called a fact family. And yeah, just one page for today. Again, thinking about part, whole, and fact families. Have a wonderful rest of your day, second graders, and make sure you show me a picture of your beautiful math work. All right, I will see you again soon. Bye.